Hello,
Hello.
welcome back to this one pricing show. My name is Filip Fučić. I'm a pricing mentor.
And I'm Filip Zolota, business mentor.
Today we want to talk about something that seems, straightforward, boring, which is proposal structuring. So, I had an encounter with a client recently, an architect, and he said like, okay, but I calculated the price, so I already know how much I'm going to charge. What is there to talk about? And I said, well, even if the price is exactly the same, it matters how you write that proposal. And he laughed. He thought I was joking. I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking because when it comes to commoditized stuff, which in this show we call the duck case, right, as opposed to swan case expertise pricing, we all know what they're going to compare. They're going to compare the price. So
Yeah.
the number is going to be what they see. If you write something else, they will skip it and say, okay, this number is smaller than the other numbers, so this is our guy, right? Okay, here's what happens. We made a deal that this episode will be called the sins of writing proposals or something like that, right? Because each of these that I'm going to mention is a sin, and I'll tell you why. Right?
And how
So
severe? And how severe?
and most of them are pretty severe. So let's start with the obvious. If you design your proposal in a way that it basically emphasizes price, you can say a lot of things, but the main thing is a table or bold letters that say this is this much. This basically pushes them, inspires them to compare you in a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
right? And we talked about a million ways in which expertise-based work is based on nuances, and its value is based on nuances, and spreadsheets are where nuances go to die.
Yeah.
There are no nuances in the spreadsheet, right? It's either bigger or not bigger.
Maybe only if you have some hidden field. Eventually.
Unfortunately, you can't really count on that, right? So that would be a sin.
Yeah.
But then people say, okay, well, not price, obviously. I'm going to focus on my unique process, right? Nobody buys your process. And if you go into overdrive into describing your process, then you're basically inviting them to meddle, right? What we called backseat driving in this show earlier, right? I can see you said 3 weeks for this, but you only need to choose a color. So is this a typo? Did you mean 3 hours? Even that would be stretching it, right? And you really don't want to go into describe, educating your clients so they understand why this needs to be before that, and it's just no, right? Then deliverables. The problem is deliverables, I think, worked for a while, and there's a lot of literature that say compare the deliverables, but the problem is most people will have experiences with paying for deliverables, long word, before, and it was a bad experience.
Yeah.
So do you have an experience like that, where
Um,
somebody said, oh, we don't want this, we already have that, and it's useless?
yeah, absolutely. Especially very often you can see in the engineering realm, especially if we're talking about some mobile apps development, web apps, and similar stuff. Majority of proposals and proposal creations are being focused and concentrated on the deliverables, which is in the end wrong. due to the scope creep, an additional set of beautiful perks and features that go with the level of complexity of specific project you are working on. So
Yes. Also, a timeline is often emphasized. We can
yeah.
do that, and everybody can do that, but we can do that in the shortest possible time frame, right? Because we're so good. And things, so expertise based work shouldn't be a race. Unless it really has to be. So, unless that is the point. But usually it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are probably things worth waiting for. You know, some iterative design or some back and forth. And I think I told you the guy asked me, yes, but could we make a strategic plan in an hour? No.
Yeah, I remember that one. That
I
is
mean,
awesome.
ChatGPT can do that for you. I can do it with ChatGPT if I was swinging that way, but I'm not. So I'm not going to. Yeah. So you could have a document with strategy in its title in an hour. That's not a problem. I could even print it within an hour.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be of any use, but you can have it, right? And that's not a game I want to play.
Just you reminded me of one beautiful case I always like to mention, and that is, for example, especially in the internationalization process, helping and supporting businesses to scale and grow internationally, or on the same market, no matter. We need immediate results. Okay, what is your time frame and closing cycle? How long? 8 to 9 months. Good luck. Good luck.
Immediate for a given value of immediacy. Good. So another popular thing that I've seen is a feature list, especially with software.
Yeah.
And that drives the assumption, which many people have anyway, but it doesn't dispel it, that more features is better. Which no, Google had way less features than Yahoo back in the day.
Yeah.
And the fact that we both know this means that we're of a certain age, but that we remember what Yahoo was. So no, feature list is not a good focus. You can mention features. I just wouldn't focus people's attention on it. Right? That's not the point.
Yeah.
And finally, methodology is similar to process, but in general, that's more like I think in the creative industries it would call it the pitch. So how would you solve this? Not what your process is, but how would you solve this?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you tell them too little, it's worthless. And if you tell them too much, then you enable them to cancel everything and go find some cheaper somebody else who will deliver on what you thought of. And congratulations, you gave your brains for free to maybe sell the work with your hands, and not even that. And I mean, we all did this, right? It's a very, very common mistake, but yeah, it's not a good idea. So okay. I think it's time to say, okay, all of these ways are wrong. So what's the right way? And I think getting together a proposal shell that focuses basically on outcomes.
Yeah.
So the timeline of outcomes, not the timeline by which I mean I'm competing with the idea of this being done first, because who cares? But this is when you expect this, and this is when you expect that. And yes, there are some decisions and some deliverables in the meantime, some milestones that may or may not come from my hands. Some of them come from yours, some of them come from other factors, right? So we do this until you get the design award. After you get the design award, then we do this, because now this is enabled, right? And you can give them that award, but you can work with them until they get it,
Yeah.
right? That's stuff like that. So we discussed that you should also include options. I think the minimal set is a justified default and an ethical decoy. An ethical decoy would be a very reduced, so minimized version of it, where which is in some way suboptimal for them. So if they say, "Oh, but we don't have the budget for this," okay, there's always the budget version, but the budget version has them paying in other ways than not just money. So it's usually either convenience or risk or ego that they're taking on, and some people will go for that, and others will not. It doesn't really matter. In both cases, you should be very, very happy with this. Okay, so what does your proposal shell consist of? So
Yeah.
just as an example.
Yeah. I'm happy to explain and elaborate entire process generally, because I think it's valuable for the audience overall. So, for example, when we are approaching to the proposal creation, primarily we have a strict no proposal policy, which means that we are never giving a prescription before the exam by default. That means that our potential clients and customers are coming to our pipeline, and primary touch, and the first touch, is actually paid consultancy sessions and workshops, where we dissect the existing stage, all their challenges, pain points, and where they want to navigate further their business overall. So we practically organize everything within the workshop. So, like you mentioned, this specific type, if they're being focused on the cheaper option, we didn't lost the time nor effort just giving away knowledge, experience, expertise for free. So they practically receive a guideline which they can afterwards utilize with whomever. Other
Yes.
option is for them to enter our pipeline, meaning that we are starting and entering a serious business collaboration, and the previously being paid amount for the workshops and everything is being deducted from overall project value, and that is fair and well balanced. If we are even creating proposals as proposals, they are one pager, very brief, very short, and focused only on the end goal and results,
Yeah.
without additional
Okay.
details, because it's simply meaningless, as we
Yes.
mentioned today. And I received previously, some time ago, from colleagues from the same industry and similar, Philip, there is no chance for this to work. I don't have that issue. It is normally working now for years. It's a good practice, especially if you are positioning yourself as a trusted advisor, not some proposal creator, and they just need one more option to have so they can actually, in the end, as you said, put the data and prices in the Excel sheet and choose the right one, meaning the cheapest option. So that is kind of the process in a nutshell. Big uh, a big result from the process now being explained very briefly, but it's kind of very robust, is the fact that we are only being focused in business on things and opportunities that truly matter and actually have the perspective in terms of two-way communication, collaboration, and everything. Practically, for the paid consultancy sessions and workshops, we are managing the expectations and finding out, uh, are we truly a good fit? So
Mhm.
that's pretty much it. And it's, in the end, pretty much straightforward. Uh, it's a systematic approach implemented across all my business verticals. And the same methodology and approach I'm trying to not enforce, but teach others to implement, surely depending on the scope and type of work and service, expertise service they are providing.
And that basically also takes care of the scope creep, right?
Absolutely. Immediately on the spot, because for workshop, it's the picture is patent, it's clear, everybody understands that, and one big prerequisite for us is, especially when we are working with maybe bigger companies, that for us it is a mandatory that all key components, decision makers, they need to be in the workshops. Other way around, we're not even engaging with them. Why? Because the individual or individuals making that significant decision, they need to understand and receive information directly from us as the source, so they can actually make an educated and informed decision upon their business afterwards.
Yes. So, I think we're ready for a recap here. There are many, clear cut but wrong ways to make a proposal. And all of them might seem a good idea. But if you stop thinking about a client as a judge who is here to see if you are qualified enough, right? And start to understand that clarity is actually the clarity on what needs to be done here is definitely a deliverable. I really, really like how you do things because that's what you're saying, right? What should be done to achieve what you want needs to be much clearer, and that's our first deliverable, and you're paying for that, right? So even when you do make a proposal, you make a very short, non-apologetic, right, matter-of-fact thing, which talks about outcomes because that's what they want. Even if they ask for deliverables, what they want is outcomes. Because if you just gave them that deliverable and it made no result, they're not going to be happy, although they got what they asked for. And we have to understand this. We have to understand this, that it's not our jobs to just manage symptoms. It's our job to manage underlying problems and solve underlying problems, basically. And making a proposal short to the point and focused on outcomes, not process, not timeline, not price, is definitely the way to go. Awesome. Where can people find you, Filip?
People can find me on LinkedIn and also on my mentorship page, filipzolota.com.
For me, it's going to be LinkedIn as well, and fearless-pricing.com. We're also going to have a mutual workshop soon that's going to be physical here in Zagreb. But who knows? Maybe we do an international one online. We'll see how it goes. But I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us today, and see you next time.
See you.